Hello, my friends. Let's do the astrology for the week of October 6th through the 12th. And of course, October 6th is the full moon in the sign of Aries. So there is a full forecast out there on that already. Wherever you are seeing this is where it is. And it is also over on YouTube because this weekly forecast is for a membership. It's behind the paywall. Thank you for those who support me. This is how I earn my living, and I appreciate your monthly support. Tell others. It's helpful. Now let's get going. Here's Monday, October 6th. Now, before we even get to the full moon on October 6th, and that is just before midnight, this aspect is when Mercury makes its ingress into Scorpio. Now, it will retrograde back into Scorpio later on because it's going to retrograde in the near future. And here, let me give you that time frame. It will retrograde on November 9th through November 29th. So it will stop in Sagittarius. But right now, it's just moving into Scorpio. So that being said, that's what this chart on the screen is all about. Let's go find it. And here it is right there. Okay. And what we got going on with this is when Mercury leaves Libra, when Mercury is in Libra, communication is not always so fair and balanced, but that is certainly what we're seeking, right? We're aware of debates, we're aware of disagreements, we're aware of the back and forth that Libra supplies when Mercury is in that sign. But once it gets into that Scorpio energy, our thoughts, our communication, the information we receive, it's going to start to come in a bit deeper because that Scorpio energy wants to go deeper. We want to understand more. And even if you want to hear it or not, usually deeper information comes to us, whatever that subject matter is that is you're most focused on right now. And or if you understand where Scorpio is in your own natal birth chart, you can tell what subject matter will be coming up that you're going to get more information about. I do not use whole sign houses because I don't. I feel the Placidus house system, I'm going to put this back to proportional houses. I believe the Placidus house system is much more accurate than the whole sign houses, but that's just my opinion. And that's what I learned from 1989 forward. So that's what we're going to go with. And so you're going to find out where this is. Like for me, Scorpio starts in my sixth house. And it contains the last part of my sixth house and goes into my seventh house. And then Sagittarius starts in the middle of my seventh and then on like that. So it creates more interest in the chart because, things aren't perfect. Every house cannot be 30 degrees, just in my opinion. So find out where that Scorpio is. The reason I just went down that rabbit hole, because find out where Scorpio is, and you're going to be looking at those subject matters of the houses or house it is contained in. So Mercury in Scorpio, it's going to be in there for 3 weeks. It's then slowing down to retrograde. Once it gets into Sag, come back into Scorpio. So spend some time if you have something that feels really deep, very important, very stimulating, something you really want to get a lot of information on. Journal about it, write it down, keep track, because while Mercury's moving through this sign, you're going to have a chance to work on those things on a deeper level. And throughout this week, here's Mercury in Scorpio, immediately makes on its own Monday as well, makes that quincunx aspect to Neptune in Aries. And those two that's really intense. That quincunx brings a lot of deep focus, but our vision, we're not sure of what we're seeing because that Neptune effect can make things a little blurry. But it's in Aries. Aries and Scorpio have nothing in common. And so we're going to be making adjustments about what is it that you said you wanted? What is it that I want? We need to figure this out. This is a scenario. Things need to go a bit deeper. Are they deep enough? What is it that I want? What is it that you want? We're just going to have this back and forth, because we're coming at the full moon right here as well, which is next. That full moon, here we go. Yeah, super important to pay attention to because it's about focusing on what we need. What does the self need? What's important for us to pay attention to? And this full moon, 18 months ago, we had a new moon solar eclipse right in that vicinity. So it was right around 14 degrees. And so this just means that with the lunar gestation cycle that I like to work with, I do that in Patreon a lot, ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in that. The cycle that started on April 8, 2024 as a new moon solar eclipse has come to a culmination point on today's chart, which is October 2025. What has come to a head? I remember that eclipse. Witnessed it. I think I witnessed it. That was the one I witnessed. Yes, with my own eyes. I was with my daughter and my grandson. It was a fun thing to see, fun thing for a child to experience. And, what is it that you were focusing on at that point in time? The steps that you wanted to take, right? That moon in Aries, when it was a solar eclipse 18 months ago, it gave us that opportunity to really focus on the self. What do I need from me? What do I need to do? What courage do I need to initiate? What steps do I need to take for self-fulfillment? And now that we're at this full moon, that is not an eclipse, but this full moon that is attached to an eclipse 18 months ago, we're having this awareness around, okay, now that I have these things that I know I want and need and the courage I have to take care of things, how can I do this in a more fair and balanced way? Because the sun is in the sign of Libra. Gives us all of those opportunities. But again, simultaneously, Mercury in Scorpio is making a quincunx to Neptune. So we want some things to go deeper. And Mercury is also making a quincunx aspect to Uranus. And that is on the 7th. And I don't know, did I put that chart in here? Yes, I did. Mercury, quincunx, Uranus. Now I want to make sure, I want to share one more time. I want to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. See if I can do that. I can't. I just have to hit stop and start over. Everything froze. There we go. Good. Yeah. So after that new moon, after that full moon that we have on the 6th, and that's just before midnight, the next day on the 7th, and this is at 5:41 a.m., is when Mercury makes its exact quincunx aspect to Uranus. And so this configuration is a yod. So we have this yod pattern going on simultaneously while we're in the full moon phase. And so that in Mercury and Scorpio is once again about digging in deep, right? And really understanding what's going on. And when Mercury makes that quincunx aspect to Neptune, things can feel a bit, we're unsure, insecure in a way. We could be jumping to conclusions and we're just not sure where the clarity lies. We can use our imagination, but just try and keep one foot in reality if you can. Then we have the full moon, figuring out what our balance, our fairness, what is it that I need, and how can I balance that in a relationship, as well as all this within 24 hours, Mercury, quincunx, Uranus. And that brings us to that Mercury with Uranus. What does it bring us? In Gemini, yeah, it encourages us to try and think outside the box, think unconventionally, just but we can feel unsettled because we can't settle our ideas. We can't, we're just thinking old things are coming up, coming up, coming up, and we're not sure how to process. And that's really what it comes down to when we have this tough, tough energy of Mercury making a quincunx to Neptune, as well as Mercury making that quincunx aspect to Uranus. And simultaneously, as you can see here, we also have Mercury making a square aspect. Is that the next chart? Yes, Mercury making a square aspect to Pluto. So, Jesus, we have a lot going on here. Mercury, Pluto, Mercury, Yod. So, quincunx, these two. We also have some other quincunxes going on in the sky, but the energy of this is a tough day. It's a tough couple of days. And that being said, what does a tough couple of days mean? It could also mean that you have hard work and you really need to be as flexible as possible, but you got a lot to get accomplished and you can do it because you are aware that there is a focus is needed, but also a flexibility is needed because those quincunx aspects create uncertainty. Because as soon as we make a choice, the information changes. So we have to make another choice, and the information changes, and we have to make another choice. All right. It's like working with timeline stuff. It's pretty cool. And then when Pluto and Mercury are in a square, you know, Mercury likes the air signs, and Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. And so these guys, it's fixed square. So we have to figure out how to break away from just real old ways of thinking and trying to step into something new. There could really be some kind of breakthrough on October 7th, which I can't even predict what it would be, but just in the realm of something with information, electronics. We got a lot of deep stuff going on in in the governments. In the governments. It's like saying the Google. It's just everywhere. It's everywhere. But how do you want to manage it in your own life? Find out where your 1 degree, where your early Scorpio is. Like I said, mine's in this house number 6. So I'm going to pay attention to my daily stuff, my routine, my health, and my wellness. Those are things to pay attention to for me. What are you going to pay attention to? All of this happening in full moon phases, in a full moon phase. So we got full awareness. If things get overwhelming, you just sit down, you do some breath work, and then you just sort of sift and sort in the best way possible for you to get things out of your head and off your plate. Okay. Mercury square Pluto, manage your stress. All right, next on the 8th, which is nice. I'm glad we have this stuck in between here, but it's so tiny and it's so minor that it just might get missed. And this is Venus sextile Jupiter. Venus sextile Jupiter. I need to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. I am. Good. Venus sextile Jupiter. It's perfect. It's nice. It's easy. Earth and air and earth and water signs are the yin, the feminine, the receptive. So while it's a simple, quick, fast, easy aspect, I want you to know that it's supportive, it's simple, it's easy, it's emotional. We can appreciate our feelings. We can appreciate focusing on the details. All of those things are really important. Venus is making an applying aspect to opposite Saturn that's coming up, but it's not exact, but is an applying aspect. It's almost 4 degrees away. So soon we'll have that to organize things. But in the meantime, on the 8th, yeah, on the 9th is actually Venus making that quincunx aspect to Chiron. I don't talk about Chiron too much. The next monthly forecast has a lot of Chiron aspects in it, and there's Venus in Virgo, focusing on the details, paying attention to where I can take care of myself, because Virgo is our daily health and wellness, our daily patterns, our daily routines, and what we value in them and the value of them. So constantly pay attention to what that is. Are you slipping up and not eating as well as you want to? And if you have a cheat day, you go right ahead. Give yourself all the grace you need there. That's fine. But it's good to have good habits. You don't want them to slip away. And that's what I want us to pay attention to here. Okay. The mismatch between these two energies, the Virgo and Aries, is again about focusing on daily pattern, and that Aries energy can be just really self-focused and selfish in some ways. So it's not a negative transit between these two, a negative connection between these two, but it's one of awareness, awareness around what you need in your daily life and daily activities. Even if we're going to look at Virgo, Venus, love relationships, money relationships, and what it is that you need, steps you need to take, that Chiron and Aries, steps you need to take to heal old wounds relating to relationships or relating to a health issue or relating to a money issue, and the steps you need to take to feel like you have more control and healed, or taking steps towards being more in alignment with what's good for you and not what it feels like a super big wound. Okay. I hope that makes sense. It should, but I hope so. And then on the 10th, no aspects. The moon's in Gemini all day on the 10th, so lots of talking and information. It's it's making easy and tough aspects throughout, between 1 a.m. and 10 p.m. It makes easy, and then tough aspects. So it's the moon in Gemini. So just communicate as best you can. You know, the moon in Gemini is thinking and communicating how you're feeling. That's the general vibe of it. Like when you listen to your weatherman and he says, "Hey, chance of rain today. Wear your raincoat, bring your umbrella." This is what I'm telling you about October 10 with the moon in Gemini. It's just pay attention to the information you're receiving, information you're healing, and that would be really important. When we get to the 11th, this is at this is at 7 a.m. Eastern time. That's when Venus is opposite Saturn. And that is nice because we can feel a fair amount of groundedness here. Because I don't mind this at all. I think this is really, this is like a real sobering effect of what's going on with everything that's in the sky. We only have one quincunx aspect left, and that is between the sun and the north node. So and it's a separating aspect, so it's over. So there's no hard aspects in this chart that are applying at all. Trine, sextiles, squares, oppositions. But Venus opposite Saturn gives us that a great way to end this week. This is Saturday, the 11th, to feel like we're very grounded, like we have been able to bring some things together, an opportunity to really hone in on what truly matters for us. Yeah, because we started this week with some quincunxes and some tougher aspects, and even Venus making that quincunx to Chiron, it was a bit tough just the day before this. And so when Venus is opposite Saturn, even though some people feel that it could be very restrictive, it can be also very stabilizing and very grounding. And that's what I want to leave us with for today. Because on Sunday the 12th, the moon enters Cancer, and the moon will be in Cancer the 12th and the 13th of October. So, and it will eventually come and make its connection to Jupiter like it does once a month right now. And it gives us that opportunity to feel a little softer, take a little more care. So Sunday, the 12th of October, it will be nice for staying home, just getting, doing the things that are comforting and nurturing for you and those that you care about. And that's what we get to do with this week's forecast. And again, if you want to go watch the long form full moon forecast, please do that. Lots of free stuff, YouTube shorts. Those just go out the day of each day, so you don't get a heads up for much. They're only a minute long, minute to 2 minutes. And that weekly forecast, the monthly forecast is written out on my website. So make sure you're on the email list for that. Okay. Thank you guys. Blessings and namaste.